Audience development is pretty much versatile. It can work in every business and every industry and every niche. I'm not being hyperbolic when I do say that. It is actually very true because, well, who pays you money? People. Who you have to develop a relationship with before, you get them to move forward into the next step of the relationship. People. So you're basically working with how people naturally operate, and you use that in order to get them into either a sales or, if you're looking for something a bit more romantic, a proposal. So with that in mind, it has very versatile use when it comes to working with, with people in pretty much every type of business you can think of. So I'll give two examples right now. One example, a little small scale, is Jordan Herbinger, 27-year-old guy back in the 2000s. Graduated from Michigan State University after majoring in law, and he had a little side project on the side. He had a podcast, and the podcast was basically dedicated towards teaching men how to actually be better in social situations. So what actually ended up happening was that while he was working at a law firm, he had a little side business on the side. And that side business kind of like grew and grew and grew to the point where he didn't have to actually work as a full-time lawyer anymore. And what actually ended up happening was that business became a multi-million-dollar firm. Well, the story gets even more interesting from there. So sometimes disagreements happen between, in businesses. One party wants to go one way, the other one wants to go another way. And Jordan Herbinger wanted to, get away from the business. So what actually ended up happening was that he went his own way. He took his team with him, and he actually started another show. Now, he had to start all over 10 years after starting his other business, which became a multi-million-dollar firm. And what happened with that is that, again, because he already had an established audience from the previous show, and because he was basically like the brand and the voice of that company, at least when it came to the podcast, he was able to take that audience and bring them over to his other new show called the Jordan Herbinger Show, and he hit number one again. So basically, how do I say this? Jordan Herbinger literally started from the bottom twice and somehow hit number one twice. But he would not be able to have that business if he wasn't able to actually like develop an audience, develop relationships, and actually be able to get people to actually like convert from one stage of the relationship of just being listeners into actually like either adopting the product or even buying from him in the first place. So that's one thing that Jordan Herbinger actually ended up incorporating. And he's even more thankful that he has relationships, especially when he had to start from the bottom, now on the top again. He's actually even more thankful, especially if you listen to the early episodes of his podcast. But you want to know a really good extreme example of really great audience development? Pokemon. Just Pokemon. So you actually have this generational craze about collecting all these small little pocket monsters. And people end up trading these monsters with each other, and they actually end up battling them, and they actually end up using them to actually develop their own small tribe of people to actually fulfill out a goal. But one thing that Pokemon is really good at is actually building, not just building the world, but also building their audience, developing the audience. And how they do that? Well, they continue to release games, and they actually continue to actually improve their products. And they actually, more honestly, they actually develop a community around that. And developing a community is also another way how you can actually develop your audience as well. So Pokemon is a master. It is literally a master when it literally comes to actually developing their own products or their own audience as well. And that's actually pretty amazing as well. So with that in mind, let's kind of get to like one of the more important questions. Like, okay, so I want to build an audience. How do I actually get started?